Today on the workbench, I've got a new project here. Actually, we'll call this a new old project. This is a Broadway Limited SD40, and it is one of their Stealth line. And I picked this up off of their website. It was, I'm going to say like a scratch and dent or a second. And you can see that some of the paint's off of the fans, and I mean, it's no big deal. There's a little bit of damage to some, and these are all brass parts. So there's some minor imperfections with it, but I mean, it's nothing major. It runs really well. But I took and put a Blunami, a Soundtraxx Blunami 21-pin decoder. Basically used the factory board, and I put 2 scale sound system speakers in this, so it does run well and it sounds really good. But I've never been not been real happy with it because I didn't get to put a keep alive in it. I want to use this TCS KA1 in here, and so I finally just decided, since it's 100 degrees outside, that I would take this thing apart, and I'm going to put a decoder buddy in it. So, I mean, the factory installation was easy. Basically, you pulled the shell off of it, dropped the decoder in, and I added the speakers. No big deal. But, like I say, I've not been real happy with it because I do not have a keep alive in it. And so I'm going to take it apart today, and I'm going to pull the factory board out and put in a decoder buddy. So, saying that, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll start with our couplers here. Basically, that's all you have to do to this thing is pull the couplers out. Get those out of the way, and I'll upgrade those couplers too. But it does have some clips in it. The back clips have already popped off. I'll get my little tool here to pry the front of it up, and maybe I can eliminate some of this little stuff here. But so you can see, I've got 2 speakers in this. There's one up here, and then there's one down here in the front or on the back. But here's the 2 part numbers. Actually, these are the speaker bags that they came in. I always keep these bags around. So the rear speaker here is this one, and then this is the front speaker. This is out of the UFit series. So there's that. Yeah, I mean, this thing just plugged in right to the board, and this is a factory piece of, it's like a cloth tape, really nice tape. But you can see this Blunami decoder right here. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna start unplugging things here to make this easier to get to. But these are the motor wires, track pickup, rear track pickups. Go ahead and pull this decoder off of here. And the other thing I'm not happy with either, so this was the first thing I wasn't happy with. Get some of this wiring out of the way. You can see how that decoder is in there at a really steep angle. The pins on the factory board aren't that long, so it makes that set up at an angle. Now it does work, so I can't complain about that, but it's just bugged me since I've put it together. So I'm going to set the decoder off to the side up there. We got that out of the way, our track pickups out of the way. Let me start unplugging some more of this. This is the speakers that I wired in. And so now we've got lights, more lights, and I think that's more lights. Let me get this one unplugged. So yeah, we've got all kind of light, and there's all kind of wiring for the lights, but there's only really, let's see, we've got a rear light, a front light, class lights front and rear, so that's 4, and then we have number boards front and rear, so that's 6 lighting functions. But I'm gonna, and the way they have these together, they have the front class lights and the number boards tied together. Oh, there's a cab light too. So I'm going to kind of separate some of the functions. So there wasn't a lot of functionality there, and so that was another thing I was kind of unhappy with. But anyway, like I say, we're going to fix that today. So I've got everything unplugged off of that board. Let me get these screws out of this factory board. And then I'll show you where this Keep Alive plugged into. And I mean, it's not a bad setup, but so right here, this socket, it's a 3-pin socket for their Go plug, or Go pack is what BLI calls it. So I think, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm going to say it, I think it's similar to an ESU power pack, because it does have 3 wires, and it does give you the ability to turn off the to-go pack, so you can program on the main. So there's not a lot of room in this locomotive. So this TCS KA1 is a smaller package, so I'll be able to use that, and it'll work out really well once I get that out of there. But yeah, like I say, we'll get this Decoder Buddy, and we'll put it in, and that'll make this so much simpler. So, all right, I got to get my Decoder Buddy out. And basically it's just going to be snipping some wires and then putting this all back together, soldering it up and putting it back together. But anyway, I'll be back here in a minute. Alright, we've got the old board out. I've got the Decoder Buddy. This is the V5. It does have 1,000 ohm resistors on it, so it will set. We'll use kind of the factory mounts there to put that on. Now it won't fit fully up here on this front one, but we will. But anyway, we're going to put this this Keep Alive underneath the board, so that's going to raise it up just a touch. So we'll get that all mounted in, and then we'll have enough room there with our decoder and everything. At least it looks like we've got enough room, let's say that. So yeah, so what I want to do, I'm going to get some alcohol here and clean this off so I can mount this Keep Alive. got that cleaned off. I'm going to get my lid back on my alcohol. Alright. And I'll just use a double-sided tape for that. I'll use my carpet tape. Since that's real thin. And so what I'm mounting that on there right now to make that a little easier to deal with. Sometimes these things, they get to be a pain. So let me get this stuff peeled back, and then I'll be back. Okay, so I've taken the Decoder Buddy and I mounted the Keep Alive underneath there with some double-sided carpet tape. Now, so it sticks up higher than the original mounts, which that's fine. I've got enough room. I did measure it. So there's enough room for that to go in. I think what I'll probably do is put another little piece of carpet tape on the bottom here, and then that way we'll be all good to go. So I'm going to start cutting some of these wires. Well, I'll wait a minute. I don't want to cut anything premature, but I do want to get them out of the way until I get this thing fastened down. So I'll get out my carpet tape again and get that cut off. And I'd already cleaned that off, so we're good to go there. Now the hard part about this stuff. Actually, it's probably the easiest piece of that I've ever pulled apart. But okay, so there's that. I need to pull this little piece of tape off here. It's the factory tape they had holding some stuff down. There we go. Now I can start the process of putting this together. So, now let's start with the simple stuff. We'll cut this plug off in the back. For my rear pickups. And I've got the soldering iron on. get this start getting these wires ready to go. Sometimes it's just easier to use the paste on some of this stuff. I know it seems like it's kind of hit or miss sometimes as to which one I'm using or what. Turn my temperature down some. Get this cleaned off here. There's black magic marker on that board. So it kind of looked like I'd burn it, but I didn't. So now, take and get our track pickups hooked up here. There's the rear set. Now I'll find the gray and black. We'll cut these motor wires off. This plug's bugging the crap out of me. So, cut that there. Cut that there. Then I'll be able to run that under that side. Now, instead of fooling with these wires here for the keep alive, I'm just going to go ahead and hook them up. That way I can get them out of the way. Of course, it's a 2-wire, unlike the factory. Now, go ahead and tin those. That's how you know you've got really good wire, when that solder just flows right on there. That copper wire on those is really, really good. So now we can take our blue wire, to the positive, black over to the ground. So there's our Keep Alive hooked up. Get all those tucked in underneath. Okay. I'll be able to shorten this speaker wire up, it looks like. And I can get it to run a little different path than what I had it before. That'll keep that out of the way. Now, let's go ahead. I'll have to figure out all these functions though before we start hooking those up, but I'll pull that lighting board off. And we'll go ahead and I'm just going to flux all of that up right there, because I'll need one of those speaker pads when I go to redo the speakers. Now I can clean that off. And we'll get rid of 2 more wires. Some alcohol out there. You know, that black marker that's on the end of that makes it look like that is burnt. But it's not. Okay. Track wires. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that about right there. That way I'll have plenty to hold on to. Strip these. Get out some paste flux. Okay. There's all of our track pickups are on. Get them down there out of the way. I'm going to move this speaker wire. So it will be out of the way. Run it behind. All of that mess. And then, so I kind of use using that track pickup wire as something to hold that in. And I could always put a screw right there. I may take a long screw and put in that. That way that'll keep that wire in there. But now I can strip this off a little more and then connect that up. And that way it'll be out of the way. Okay, so there's that speaker wire. Let's go ahead and I'll cut that. So now what I'll use one pad on this side, and I'll have to put the meter on this to remember which ones I need. But I can go ahead, cut that, and pull this back, and I can just use one of these back here, so I don't need all this wire. Make it a little longer than that. We'll get that tucked under there. So let me get my, well, I'm going to go ahead and flux and tin these. That way, once I figure this out, I can just go ahead and put them where they need to go. Okay, there's that. Now I'll get my meter. So it really should just be I'll put one there, and then I'll put this one on this side. That'll give me my connection for both sides, my positive and negative. So let me take and flux that one and get some solder on it. Oh, come on. I'm trying to grab a hold of that to be able to push it down in there. There's our speaker wires. Now I'm going to test that just to see what kind of resistance I have. $16. Yep. So, oh, wait a minute. Okay, so I've got positive to negative, and then positive to negative. Okay, I'm right. Think about that. So, anyway, I need to take a break right here, so I'll be back in a second. So I keep saying parallel here for the speakers, but I've got them wired in series. So it will give you 16 ohms. So that's the way I have it, and that's what I've got. So right now we are moving on to we'll get these motor wires, get them all settled in. Go ahead and get that stripped. Get that stripped. Then we'll be able to do something with that big wiring plug. Try to get my flux here. I'll have to figure out what all that wiring is, because it's easy when it was on the factory board. You could just plug it right in. So Now I'm going to try this blind so I don't have to move anything. And I think I'll do those one at a time while it's sticking through there. That'll make it easier on me. And as always, I'm not worried about which side is positive or negative. Because I can change that with a CV change. I'll clean this off when I get this one hooked up. Okay. Trim that off. Get out the alcohol. So we've got our motor, keep alive, and speakers hooked up. And I want to look at that. But anyway, now we are ready to put our lighting board back on. And then if I can get it plugged back in, we'll be good to go. That'll go like that. Now we just got to figure out what is what. So I think I'm just going to start cutting these plugs off, and then I'll get out my tweezers and then I'll be testing some wires. So I'm going to cut these off kind of close to that plug. What do I got? Red and yellow. I'm going to hold on to that yellow wire since it's connected back to itself. I bet that's for that cab light. Because that cab light in the factory configuration, it or not the cab light, but the number boards. The number boards come on at the same time. So I bet this yellow is probably a number board light. Anyway, we'll go ahead and cut all of those right there. And then I'll cut these back there. So I've still got this one wire, and we'll worry about it in a second. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get out my tweezers, which I hope they're charged. Yep. So I'll start stripping these wires off, and that way I can figure out what is what. So let me go ahead, strip part of these off. And then so red and brown are the rear light. So the only other lighting function that I have is my black, but I can at least get those two hooked up. I may take a piece of heat shrink and put on that just to keep them together. I'll be back here in a minute. Alright, so I went through with my meter on these back, or not the meter, but my tweezers on these wires here from the rear, and what I've got is the brown is the rear light, this black is the class lights, and the red is the positive back there. So I know what those three wires go to. This yellow wire is for the number boards, which connects up here to the front, which you really can't see that real well. But what I'm going to do right now, and I did test this thing just to make sure that it runs. It does run, and it sounds good. But anyway, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pull this yellow wire off of this front board. That way I can put a piece of heat shrink back here, and that'll get all these wires tied together to where they look a little better. So I'll pull that out. I do want to try something here. So that'll be the function wire, my positive. Yep. Okay. So anyway, we've got that. I'll get out. I don't know if all them wires will fit. They won't fit in that. So let me get a piece of this red. I'll get a couple pieces of it probably. We'll get this put together. But to keep alive works, the direction is good. So now I need this one black wire. So I did unplug all those two. Let me set this off back here for a second. So now I'll take soldering gun or soldering iron. I'll put another piece in there too. just because I can. Make sure I get the camera turned back on. So I am glad that they offer these in a their stealth configuration. You can pick them up cheaper with no decoder, and you can put the decoder you want to in it, just like I've done here with this Blunami. So there, I've got that all soldered up. Or not soldered up, but wired up. Now, so the front will be easier because I can actually see where things are going. So this yellow and red wire up here in the front, that's for the front class lights. That's a no-brainer. And then we've got, looks like this will probably be the same as the rear. Yellow will be the number boards, the brown and red will be the headlight, and the black will be the number boards. And then this gray and black right here will be the cab light. So, saying all that, bring this back over, and I think I'll leave this unplugged, that way I can see what they are. Now I'm not sure what this blue wire is. I don't really think it controls anything, because I've got all my functions, I've got all my positives. And I can go through and test this just to make sure that what I'm saying is right. So, cab light. So the gray is positive on that. And then this one right here. Yep, that's both of those. Red is positive. Red is positive, gray is positive. And then the same here, this red will be positive. If I can get it turned over the way I want it. Yep, number boards. Get that in there. That'll be the headlight. I don't think that does anything. Red and yellow. Well, where's my headlight? There it is. So the brown and black is the front headlight. Okay, brown and black is the front headlight. Alright, so now let's start hook. So this blue wire doesn't do a thing. which means I can take that out. This blue wire doesn't do anything because there are no other lighting functions there. That's all we have. So in probably a different locomotive, that probably does have a function. So I'm going to go ahead and I am going to take that out since we don't need it. Let me pull this board off. Maybe it's labeled on the back. So I'm going to hold off for a minute. That may be the cab light negative. Number board. Okay. We'll hold off for a second, but I really don't think it does anything. But I'm going to put this back down here for a minute. So let's start back here in the back. We'll get some of this stuff wired up. Okay, there's that one. Now, turn that heat down a little bit. Now I need my board. Where's my rear is in that corner. I'm going to go ahead and run that positive right there. So let me get out. I've got a little block here. Kind of makes this a little easier. This is just a old decoder buddy that I kind of messed up at one point, and I use it as a holder. Nope, that's for the original decoder buddy. I cannot use that on these new ones. What about that one? Nope. Yep. What about that one? There, I can use it on this one. but that'll just hold it to where I don't have to have 4 hands. So there's the positive. Go through. And I'm going to run this one underneath. Nothing's cooperating today. Okay. There's a rear light, and I'll clean this up when I get done. But I don't need that one right now. I need this black one. And we'll go ahead and cut that off. Kind of match the size of it, size of the other one. And I'll go ahead and put it on, yeah, let's just say aux 2. So that's on 2. Okay, let me pull this off. Pull this back around here. That's plugged in now. Now, so that yellow is the one I've got cut here is the number boards coming from the front. So I could actually take and eliminate this from off of that front board, put it on, since I've got plenty of lighting functions. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Let me try something here. So since that's the function, nope, that will not work. There's that one. Okay, so this yellow wire for the number boards has to go up front. So I'll have to run that back down through, but in the meantime, I'm going to do this the easy way, easier way. I know my gray and black is the cab light. My light went off. Okay, gray and black, and the gray is positive. So gray and black up here. Well, they're in another gray wire. So maybe. So I need to figure out what these wires are back here now. So maybe that blue is a positive wire. Oop. Maybe that blue's a positive wire. Alright, I'm going to try this one, and then if this doesn't work, I'm going to go off camera here and start getting my wire collars. Okay, I'll be back. Alright, so I went ahead and I did all the wiring off camera. Now I'm going to try to explain it. I mean, it's nothing really complicated. Hopefully this will focus. Yep. I want to get as close as I can. There we go. Okay. So, what we've got a blue wire coming from the front, the one that I thought was just an extra function. That is the cab light. Then we have the other blue wire coming up. That was the function wire for the front class lights. Of course, we have a brown positive for the front headlight. Then we have a red positive, two red positives. This red positive is for the rear, for all the lighting functions on the rear. The number boards, the headlight, and the class lights. So we've got the black wire is the class light, the yellow wire is the number boards. So I've separated the number boards. We had this long yellow wire that ran all the way up. I took and separated them. Now I've got front and rear number boards. Of course, the red is the positive for the rear light, and that's the positive for everything back here. And this brown is the rear light. This brown positive, that's a positive. So what do I have here? Trying to find my front headlight function. It was actually this black wire coming back that was my front headlight. So that's all tied into this board. So all these wires are used, and yeah, basically, but I think that's all the wiring that I needed to show you. So everything is hooked up and everything does function. Got the decoder on there. So now I'm going to put it on the track and make sure that it all works. So I've got it cleaned up the best I could, and then we'll go from there. I'll be back. Alright, we've got this locomotive completed and back up on the turntable here. I did change out the couplers on it, put KDs on it. So let's go ahead and we'll go through some of the functions here. So, of course, we've got our headlight. Actually, let's go ahead and start it up. So we've got to start it up, and we've got our headlight on, and now we'll go through some of the functions. There's the class lights. There's our number boards, and then the last one up front there is the cab light. So we've got all those up front, and then in the rear we've got the rear headlight, the rear number boards, and the rear class lights. So we have utilized all of the factory lights. I'll go ahead and turn a few of those off. That cab light's really bright in there, but anyway, that's just an occasional thing. So I do like the class lights and the number boards and the headlight. But anyway, we've got our, that's the horn I put in there. And of course our bell. And all of the normal functions of the, the tsunamis are in this Blunami. I'm not going to run through all of them. It's, so that right there is the straight to 8 function on that. Now I'm going to go back straight to idle. Actually, I went straight to shutdown. So, anyway, that's this locomotive done in a nutshell. And I do like it better than just the factory board with the way that was configured. At least now I've got the Keep Alive in it. And, all the functions are all basically separate on it now. So that's another great advantage of the Decoder Buddy. But I do like it that BLI offers these in the Stealth versions. And yeah, it's just a simple rewiring job. You just need a meter to go through and start checking things. So anyway, I guess we're done with this project, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching.